Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream, September 16th, 2022. We are back with NexTech, NEXCF over the counter. Evan Gappelberg, the CEO. Evan, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Jack. Great to be back. It's been a long time.
It's been I think it's been almost 10 days. But look, the reason why, again, the reason why we have an increasing cadence of these live streams is because, we have some major events coming up and we want to keep, investors updated. It's really important. Like right now, some major events. You have a lot of new people looking at the stock. So it's really important for, to have transparency, right?
That's what it's all about. It's just, we use this platform to communicate to our shareholders, let them know what's happening behind the scenes. I think it's really important because I do believe that there's this big disconnect between what investors think and reality. And so we're here to really talk about the reality, what's happening on the ground, in the trenches, with me and my team. And there's a lot happening, a lot.
So this is what we want to unpack. So I want to keep it very tight today. Hopefully we're going to get through some questions. So there's like three big themes. ARWay spinout. We're going to go through the latest. We're going to go through Map Dynamics that you brought in a new CEO that was announced this week. I think the other day the stock was down. I think maybe people thought there was a switch in CEOs of NexTech.
No.
Clear that up. It was for a new division you brought in a CEO for the Map Dynamics, right?
Look, see, there's only one CEO of NexTech. That's me. But you can have a quote CEO of a division, and that's what we announced.
Okay, and then we're going to talk about the update on the Amazon. Other blue chip customers are coming in for the NexTech 3D models. We're going to go into all that in just a second. So, look, for anybody that's brand new to our program, the goal of the Wall Street Reporter's next super stock is to bring you those stocks which have a 10x to 100x upside potential. So companies going after massive multi-billion-dollar market opportunities that are now at that key inflection point, and there are multiple catalysts in place right now which can ignite that increase in shareholder valuation. We've had a whole bunch of winners in recent years that have kind of followed that blueprint, that 10-bagger blueprint, and including NexTech. And I'm really looking forward to see. Evan, look, I really want to see if NexTech can become a 10-bagger twice, a repeat 10-bagger plus. And I think there's a possibility even, look, sometimes the real super stocks, the next wave, they usually exceed previous highs. Now, I'm not making any price projections. I'm not saying this stock is going back to $10, next everything like that.
But if you look at Apple Computer, it's a great example, right? That stock went parabolic initially, and then it collapsed. I mean, people were talking about
multiple waves. It's like been but always higher. But over a year.
But the same thing with Amazon. I mean, there's a whole bunch of tech companies that had a run, an early run, a dip, and then a parabolic move even higher. And I do think that we are setting up for something similar. And the reason is the business. It has nothing to do with the market. The market's shit. I mean, let's just say what it is.
Worse, even worse. I mean, this is like
market is not. It's not going to be market driven, right?
Yeah.
There are stocks that have gone up in the last couple of years that purely were market driven. It was nothing to do with business driving the share price, right?
Evan, you're gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way. You're gonna have to do this is the old-fashioned way. We're gonna have to make the business work to make stock move.
I agree. And that is what I'm here to talk about. That's really why I'm excited, is that the business is working, is that we are signing big contracts. Obviously, the biggest of them all, once again, is Amazon. I'm just printing out on my printer the first purchase order that we received from them. And it is quite significant. And there will be more. In other words, it's going to be purchase order after purchase order. They don't just give us one, big purchase order. It's multiple purchase orders. And so we're working on some significant significant deals. Some of them are 25,000 model deals. Some of them are 10,000 model deals. Some of them are 110,000 model deals. They are quite significant. And, 2023 is really shaping up, really now, but it's going to really hit because it takes a minute to, A, get these contracts signed, sealed, and delivered. B, it gets, these contracts, basically the way big enterprise companies work, in case, our audience isn't familiar, is they have to get approval. We deal with a buyer. The buyer then goes to their higher up. They have to get approval. The budget has to be approved for us to get the purchase order. And so right now we have, we're in the budget approval process for, again, 10,000, 25,000, 100,000 multi-year contracts. Amazon already approved. That's done. We're talking about the Kohl's of the world, the Napa Auto Parts, and so many others.
There's a pipeline. I mean, like, I know people got very
excited. Is absolutely exploding. And again, but it takes, it's not like, it happens in a day. So it does take a minute. It is happening. That's the key. It wasn't happening in 2021. It is happening in 2022, and it's going to start to show up in Q3 of 2022, accelerate in Q4 of 2022, and in 2023, I think it's going to be the kind of, blow your hair back growth that we experienced in 2020 when the stock went parabolic during the pandemic. I think that we're going to have a similar type of experience with our business. The difference is, as mentioned many times, the business is not going to end when there's no pandemic. It's not being driven by the pandemic. It's being driven by ROI. It's being driven by
it's not a one-off event. This is, I mean, this is not like a temporary thing. This is really, we're going to, what is it? Is it a secular bull market?
Secular, yeah. I just look at it as a decade-long mega trend. 3D models, the metaverse.
It's not even a decade. This is like the next thing. I mean, because this 3D models that's the next. That's really kind of the next reality. I mean, that's like, almost like when we went from black and white to color. In TVs, it's the same thing is happening with. And as everybody wants those 3D models.
As we've mentioned before, Jack, we're about to launch an end-to-end software suite that will. I think really changed the market when it comes to prototyping using. So this is the predecessor product was the CAD to Poly, where you could take a CAD file, that's the manufacturer's, computer-aided design, these mega files, and we were able to convert those into these lightweight poly files that you could use on the web. Well, that technology, that platform has gotten even better. We've now taken it to a point where you could change the texture, change the color. So if you could have a 3D model, there's millions of 3D models already in the market. You could import them into this platform. It doesn't matter what file format they're in. You could then change the color. You could now prototype with a factory in China, and you're here in the US or anywhere in the world. And what it ultimately does, Jack, back to ROI, is it saves companies millions of dollars. And then, there's this virtual photography where it's basically a full-on 3D modeling photography studio.
Listen, this is why
Google, I'm not even, but the numbers, all this pipeline we're talking about doesn't include any of the software piece. I'm saying the modeling business is exploding, but now we have this software business on the heels of the modeling business. All of our modeling customers are going to be lining up for this software piece. And
so you're going to be like the Adobe of.
It is very much like Adobe.
Okay, it's interesting because in the Wall Street Journal today, Adobe is buying this company. I think for like
Figma.
$20 billion.
We use Figma. Everybody uses Figma.
I never heard of Figma before. This is amazing.
Well,
Figma.
You got to be a tech company to.
Okay.
But the key is about Adobe is that they are gobbling up. They are really acquiring essentially everybody in this 3D space. And
why can't they buy NexTech? I mean, if they bought Figma for $20 billion, can't they have like $1 billion left over for NexTech?
I think when we launch our new product, which the name is Toggle 3D. So CAD to Poly is Toggle 3D. Toggle 3D. So that's the name of it. It's going to be launched. I think we're going to come on this show, Jack, next week and demo it for our investors. And I think it's going to blow people away. It's a significant piece of software. And if you think about software, it's pure profit margin. It's a SaaS business, so it's going to be just.
And this is software for making 3D models.
Not making 3D models. It's for if you have CAD files, you could import the CAD into this software suite.
Okay, and then it turns them into.
Gives you a 3D platform to see your 3D models on and manipulate your 3D models. You can change the color. It's like a art studio. Think of it as an art studio, no code. In other words, even you, Jack, can use it. and you're literally just point and clicking. So it could be for fabrics. It could be for, again, prototyping is a big part of.
Look, Google was right. Like we talked about last week, Google, the Google algorithm, the massive $1 trillion brain that is Google AI. They have crowned NexTech as the leader in AR, in augmented reality. Again, all you got to do is type in AR into Google search. NexTech pops up right below the dictionary and above Apple. So there's
I thought you were joking, by the way.
No, it's there. It's there. I put out the thing on Twitter.
I looked it up and I was like, wait a minute.
That's worth $1 billion. In my opinion, that's $1 billion thing. Because if Figma can get bought for $20 billion, I never heard of Figma, but if NexTech comes up number 3 in search on Google, actually, no, I know it sounds like a joke. I know I'm kind of kidding, but I'm not kidding because look, if Google puts NexTech as essentially number 1 in AR, because dictionary obviously has to go first, definition, that market position there's a certain recognition which I think has a strategic value which far exceeds today's current market valuation. The market has not priced it in. At some point when things heat up,
you're making an interesting point. So it actually translates into dollars. That's really the key, right? Well, why do you want to have a high Google search? Ultimately, you want to get a high Google search so that when people type in AR and they want to buy something, right, from somebody who's selling AR, you appear, they contact you. So as more and more demand comes into the market for augmented reality, that's when that ranking is going to be worth the big money.
And that's next year. That's really, we're getting next year is that inflection point. Here's the thing. I think, but we're going to get into all the main stuff in just a second.
Hold on a second. My printer finally stopped printing the Amazon purchase.
The Amazon. We're going to see the Amazon contract. Okay, this is a first.
I want to actually. Hold on a second.
Now this is going to be the unredacted.
I can't believe that this actually printed purchase order.
We're going to see the first time. Okay.
No, I'm not. I can't get too crazy. It's very exciting. It is kind of the thing. If you think about going back to the fact that I founded the company, kind of on the back of a napkin in 2018, and now on this piece of paper, I have a purchase order from Amazon. That is.
It's like it's the symmetry. It's this
right. So it does kind of make you, and it has our name on it. And it doesn't have my name on it, but it's a pretty big, exciting. I think I need to frame it. What do you think?
You know what, Evan? I think what you need to do is you need to frame the Adobe acquisition, the one where they're paying $20 a share for NexTech. That you should.
I don't have that in my hand. I do have this. So
at some point, But this you have, it's a start. It's a start. So you got the Amazon deal. Okay, so the main thing is this, which, and then we'll go into all the details. Look, I think it's really important to realize that the market. I always say, look, the market is always forward looking. So stocks, everything, it gets priced into the future a lot of times, right? So what we saw like last year, 2 years ago, when the stock had that big run up, the market was kind of getting ready, you know, for AR, all this new stuff, the Web3, not even Web3. It was just like the whole. It's this new world of e-commerce. There's a whole new world of e-commerce that we're getting ready for, and you know, NexTech is kind of at the forefront. So the market kind of was priced in the future. You know, the AR, the meetings, all that stuff, and now I think it's not, none of that is priced in, and once the new stuff gets priced in, I mean, that's where you have that big upside in the stock, is once we start seeing some of the traction, some of the revenues from the Amazon deal hit the maybe it's the Q2, Q3, we'll see it. Some of the other blue chip customers, the spin out, then the market starts getting really excited, and you know, I think that's why we could see those, you know, that you know, sort of that return of investor enthusiasm, which and again, we can have that in any market. I mean, you don't need to have a roaring bull market. Even in bad markets, 2003, 4, 5, there's always stocks that, you know, took off.
I mean, the truth is when you think of small caps, it's a double-edged sword, right? Everybody wants small caps to be listed on NASDAQ or some other exchange. Why? Because the institutions, right, all of a sudden can buy and push the stock up. But the flip side is, double-edged sword, they can push it down as well. So in a bad market, in a bull market, let's use that as an example, all the boats rise, right? Mutual funds, they get cash into their coffers, and what do? They buy stocks. I mean, that's just what they're built to do. Now, what if people start taking money out of mutual funds? They sell stocks. It doesn't matter what the valuation is. With small caps, that doesn't happen. You don't get the mutual funds buying, and you don't get them selling, which means you can have big moves in a down market with small caps. Of course, you don't get the same, let's say, potentially you don't get the same. I mean, sometimes you do. I guess you could say
you're not going to have. I mean, look, it's difficult to have a 100 bagger, but we could have a 20 bagger. You're not
going to move with the market. That's all it really comes down to. It's like, oh, you know, market goes up 500 points. You know, how come my small cap stock's not up? Well, because you don't have any funds that just buy on an up day, right? It's just not like that. Or same thing goes for selling on a down day. So
okay, Evan, anyway. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. I got you sidetracked this morning. I want to get back to today. The main idea for today is I want to talk about. So let's jump right into the ARWay spin out. This week, big news. You got the symbol.
So look, you know, our investors don't realize the amount of work, the amount of energy and effort. There is a CDAR filing. You could look it up. It's a legal document. It's tremendous, and you know, we've been working on that for months now. The fact that we got pre-approved for our listing on the CSE is a big deal. That's never happened before. And so that's a very, very big positive. That means, you know, there's nothing stopping us from getting listed. We have our AGM, we have our stock symbol, and so
ARWY,
which I think is a great stock symbol, and all of that's approved. If you own NexTech stock, if you want to get, you know, shares in the spin out, there's two ways. One is you could wait for the IPO, which will be, you know, mid to late October, and just buy it, or you can buy NexTech, and by buying NexTech, you will get free shares in the IPO automatically. You'll get about a 4% stock dividend. So if you think about it, so when do you have to own NexTech? You essentially have to own NexTech 3 days prior to the IPO, right? So that would mean if I was trying to do that, I would want to own NexTech by let's say October 16, October 15, 16 kind of thing. So that way you're pretty much guaranteed to get the spin out stock dividend of ARWay. But ARWay is going to be a very, very profoundly exciting company to be invested in. And the reason I say that is, I'm doing more and more research. I am a researcher by nature. And as I'm doing more research about the indoor wayfinding and navigation market, I'm learning how big that market is and how much in demand indoor wayfinding really is. And everybody's been looking for a solution. They've been looking for a no code, no capex solution. They want it to be super simple, almost plug and play. And that's what we offer. We are launching something that nobody else has in the market. If you look at our competitors, they basically have what's called beacon technology or ultra wideband technology. If you look it up, beacon technology essentially is these little beacons. You have to plug them in. A lot of them have batteries that need to be updated, and there's a capex, right? You got to spend money to buy those.
You need stuff. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You might need hundreds of them, depending upon the size. You might need thousands of them, and even at $10 each, it adds up. So our technology does not require that. Our technology is leveraging Map Dynamics mapping software. We're leveraging some of their expertise. We take a map, gets imported into our studio. Somebody goes on site. We create in the studio. We create an auto-generated QR code that's synced to the map. Right, the QR code is synced to the map. You take the QR code to wherever the map site is, the physical site. You slap it on the wall. You scan it with your phone. That's it. You're in business.
We have to do a demo again, maybe in like a week.
We are going to do a demo.
As we get closer, we have to do a demo.
Yeah. So actually, really interesting. One of the founders, there were two founders of ARWay. One of the founders, if everyone recalls, he was like 17 years old when we acquired ARWay last summer of 2021. He's still with us. All of our companies that we acquired, they continue to stick with us because they want to be part of the future, and I want them to be, right? So there's continuity there. Anyway, he is a master at demonstrations, and he's very well spoken. And so when we get requests from enterprise customers to demo the ARWay tech, we send Baron. And so he got on a plane. He lives in the UK, and flew to Spain to demo for the largest travel company on the planet the ARWay solution in an airport, live, on site, and it worked flawlessly. He's now coming back. We have videos, which we'll share with everybody, of course, and we expect that to turn it. They said, if you could show us this works, and by the way, they paid for all of his travel expenses, right? So they picked up his bill. If we show it works, which we just did, they said that they want to launch it into 100 airports.
Okay, this massive use case. Okay, Evan, can we talk about the customer pipeline? Like, how big? Because I don't think people really understand yet. Because this technology is so like on the cutting edge. I don't know if it's the word bleeding edge. What it is so like, people haven't seen it yet in their day-to-day life. It's almost like almost like a GPS. 20 years ago, nobody really saw a GPS, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like, wow, you can't live without it.
Exactly.
So ARWay, and of course, you're able to monetize it with ads, all stuff.
Well, that's where it gets interesting, Jack. So the wayfinding piece is only the base use case. We've now figured out how to plug in to that augmented reality wayfinding experience, the news channel, advertising, the weather channel, your plane's, if your plane is, what gate you're supposed to go to. I mean, it's going to be almost like this full-on experience, and that is the metaverse, is it not? I mean, that is the metaverse. Without the goggles, we're creating the metaverse on the back of wayfinding, and that's the key. Is that wayfinding's in demand. If you try and go out there and say, "Oh, I'm going to just try and sell, metaverse solutions," good luck with that. Good luck. Who's buying metaverse? Like, I don't know. Nobody's knocking on our door and saying we want the metaverse, but they do want wayfinding, and they do want all these additional add-ons that come with wayfinding. That is essentially the metaverse. So, we're at the forefront of this metaverse revolution, and without even marketing, we're not marketing. We haven't spent a penny on marketing. Our ARWay pipeline is starting to explode. In fact, I actually can't believe that my sales guy said this to me yesterday. A week ago or 2 weeks ago, he said, I don't think I'm going to be, overwhelmed. Like, you don't need to hire any more sales guys, for 2022. All of a sudden, he's saying, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed now. There's so many deals that are now flying in and coming in that he needs to quote on and follow up on, that he's telling me now. So it's stunning to me as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's been in business his whole life. It's rare that the demand is showing up at the front door before you even put an open sign. We haven't even put open, here are our hours. It's, we really haven't done any marketing at all. The only thing we have right now is our NexTech press releases that we put out, and landing page, the ARWay.ai. And so it's going to get very, very busy, I think, once we start marketing, and we are going to actually start marketing next week. So, okay. Yeah.
So in terms of, now you have, like, in terms of the customer pipeline, I mean, when can we see some customers announce? Now, you mentioned one name to me the other day of, like, you're talking to, like, let's just say a company that's really out of this world. The moonshot people.
So look, here's how it goes. It's no different whether we're selling 3D models or we're selling ARWay. The enterprise sales process is basically the same. We get a customer, we quote, they take the quote to their committee, to whoever is above them. They have to get approval. Now, that process is, it could take weeks. It could take 60 days. It's not instant, right? Because they're going to ask questions. They start to get into, security issues. How secure is the platform? It's just a process. So in terms of pricing, I see some.
Yeah, we're gonna get into some audience questions. We've got a bunch of questions we got to go into. Okay. Let's wrap up.
I just want to say one thing, Jack. It's a process, but the process has begun. There's many companies that will talk about, hey, we hope to get, all this business or what have you, and they're not even in discussions. They're not even in this process. We're actually in way beyond discussions. It's more negotiations, and everybody just wants our tech. And now it's just about getting it into the first customer. And the thing is, Jack, is normally I might feel a little stressed about, like, closing a deal. But if you think about what I described with that one customer, the one that wants to go into 100 airports or what have you, that's such a huge deal. It's equivalent to like 1,000 deals. Right. So it's like one deal, the size of the customers that we are working with are so huge that it doesn't feel stressful to me that they don't close in a week. It feels like no problem, like this is going to happen. It just takes time. So,
Evan, I want to ask you. I mean, so it's like you're a student of the markets in terms of big themes. And, you've always been on top of like some of the major themes in the markets. Where do you see ARWay fitting in? Like, what is it? Because it's a one of a kind. It's a pure play. Is it a spatial computing play? Like, is it a Web3 play? Where is this going to be kind of like, pigeonholed, for lack of a better, like which theme is this part of, or is this going to be one of these things where people are just going to have to get into it because it's
an interesting question. So it really is an interesting piece of technology. Why? Because it's so versatile. What do I mean by that? So all these 3D models that we're making for our e-com customers can be imported and visualized in the wayfinding solution. If you think about trade shows and you think about going to a trade show, having wayfinding and all the advertising that you could have popping into people's field of vision. If you think about the glasses, Jack, I see this tech as foundational technology. It's not like peripheral. It really is potentially the heart and soul of the metaverse. This whole wayfinding, where it's like, hey, I'm wayfinding in augmented reality, and as I'm going along my path, I'm, in this computer, and all around me are augmented reality experiences. And we're not going to create, NexTech, we're not going to create all these experiences. We're providing the platform, and it could be Disney that uses our technology and enhances it and uses it throughout their theme park. It could be Universal Studios. It could be Netflix.
It's like
it really has a very, very broad, and so it's really a platform. I mean, I don't want to get too crazy on this show, but if you think about, like a Microsoft or an Amazon or Meta, like those are platforms. This is on that kind of level where it's platform.
I just had an epiphany. And basically, this is essentially ARWay is sort of like where it is. It's kind of the merging. It's sort of the merge at the intersection of the physical world and the metaverse and what have you. And okay, so like a couple days ago, I was at this conference where you presented, right, the Wainwright conference, and I just realized something now. Like, why do people go to these things? They want to network, they want to meet, but also they want to know where the room is, where the presentation is. Imagine, and like, now I have this like piece of paper where the map, and like you can't find, like I gotta waste time wandering around. With this technology, with ARWay, now all of a sudden, either it's on your phone or whatever it is, it tells you, okay, here's your schedule, go here, follow this. And by the way, it might even pick up, because all these name tags have like these RFID or something. It'll say, hey, this guy you're supposed to meet, he's over here. It'll on the map, it'll kind of show you where this person is, so you can bump into. I mean, that's really where it's going to go with trade shows, because you want to go to, like, I don't know, Comdex, are they still around or whatever? These big shows, what are tech? I don't know. What's the Salesforce has? Dreamforce, Apple. There's 10,000 people there. Why do people go? Why do these 10,000 human beings show up in a room? Because they want to network, do business. Right. And if you have this ARWay thing and it says, hey, the person you want, he's over here. Here's the map. And by the way, here's where you can buy coffee. Here's tries to sell you. Here's a sponsor. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. I mean,
look, all I can say is this. Think about how much time everybody spends on their phone. It's obscene. It's ridiculous. It's annoying. But it's reality. It's just reality, right? People are totally addicted to their phone.
Burning man.
Yeah. So, I mean, back to your conference, the H.C. Wainwright conference. So imagine you're getting ready to see me, and you literally are, clicking on the room that I'm in, and my icon, my hologram pops up. And I'm like, Jack, can't wait to see you. Or maybe I don't know your name. So I'm like, can't wait to see you. Right. That's the immersive piece. That's the metaverse piece, is that it goes another step into the future, this futuristic world, it's being called the metaverse. Our technology has all of that built into the platform. Platform. That's the key, is that it's a platform that you can build. Think of it almost as like a stage. How many shows can you put up on a stage? Unlimited. It's just a platform, right? Our platform, wayfinding is the base use case, but then there's unlimited experiences within it. And that's why I'm saying, like, if you think about
it could become essential. This the wayfinding, the ARways thing. It could become as essential to like the phone as the Google Maps. I mean, for like anytime you go to events, whatever it is, any type of large indoor places, because there's going to be a lot of potential ways to monetize. Maybe like there's little contest games. Okay, hey, because the idea is people want to monetize, and it's almost like some years back, like somebody told me, oh yeah, the phones, they're going to have a camera in it. I was like, what camera? Why would somebody want to have a camera in a phone?
Yeah.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard of.
Yeah.
This is going to be.
So the business, is so. I think that's why we're getting so much demand already from customers, because they see the value of it, and they just want it. They want it now, and we've made it quite affordable. It's not above people's budgets, and so we think it's going to go quite quickly, and it's going to scale. And because it's software, it's going to have a very, very high profit margin, which is super exciting to me. But we should talk a bit about Map Dynamics and
oh yeah. So let's talk about Map Dynamics. Hang on, let me just see here. Yeah. Okay, so this week, you brought it. Is it Melia?
Yeah, very good, Jack. Okay. I was struggling with her name, but that's her name. Yeah,
Melia. Okay. So Melia is the new CEO of Map Dynamics. And I think a lot of people thought that, is she the CEO of NexTech, or what happened to F? Yeah. Like this is the other day with stock. I was like, I think people maybe they read a headline, they don't read the whole press release. But okay, so Map Dynamics, for anybody that's new, what's Map Dynamics? How does it fit into inside of the NexTech, unicorn factory?
Yeah. So in Q4 of 2020, we acquired Map Dynamics. It was a live event platform that had pivoted to virtual events. But they had been in live events for over a decade. And so we kind of enhanced that platform over the past 2 years. We've invested a ton of money into enhancing the technology, because, it had a base of about 800 customers. And it was a platform that it is a platform that can scale. So now, obviously, the economy's opened up, and everybody is going to live events. So MapD's business is back to that. Now, what's interesting about MapD, and this wasn't really totally planned. I have to be completely honest with our shareholders. I mean, okay, Map Dynamics, ARWay mapping. There's a lot of synergies, And what we're doing now is we're actually creating the trade show ARWay solution. Now, if you think about Map Dynamics, it's a platform for event organizers. So if you're an event organizer, you're selling ticketing, you're selling booth space, you're selling sponsorship, you're an event organizer, right? So you get people to an event and you sell them booths, sponsorship, you have ticketing. Map Dynamics does all of that. It's your end-to-end, out-of-the-box solution for events, event organizers. Okay? So they pay for that service. Now, when it gets really interesting is when we talk about ARWay and the integration of those two technologies, so that we can now offer wayfinding at all of these events, which is a huge, huge deal. They all want it. They just haven't had a solution provider. Malia is from that industry, the events industry. She has been involved in that industry for, I don't know, 5 or 10 years. She's very connected, very knowledgeable. And so she's essentially going to take Map Dynamics, which we've invested all this money in, and ARWay, and just grow it exponentially into the events industry. And so that's happening as we speak. It's going to scale.
Let's bring her in for update. Like we'll do like a full episode on Map Dynamics like in a week or so.
We can. I just wanted to give her a break because she's been, kind of drinking from a fire hose in terms of trying to catch up to all the stuff happening.
Let's get into some audience questions. We've got a bunch of audience questions. I know you're like on a tight schedule today, so let me get it. So I want to keep this to schedule. I want to, for once, let's try to keep it. Okay.
Not possible, Jeff.
What is the realistic revenue expectation for 2023? The 23 is the breakout year, I believe.
Yeah. So I haven't put any numbers out there. Okay. And in the past, I made some projections. It kind of bit me in the ass a little bit. So all I'm going to say about 2023 is that I think 2023 is going to be an explosive year for our 3D modeling business for sure, ARWay, and also Map Dynamics. So it's going to be a trifecta kind of year where all of our businesses really start to gain a tremendous amount of traction. Where we land in terms of revenue, it's a little too early for me to say, but it's going to be, I think, a significant number that's going to make investors sit up and take notice.
What's the need for bringing in a new CEO for Map Dynamics? What are the expectations once Map Dynamics? Now, this Map Dynamics is going to be the second spinout. Is that the idea?
It could be. It does kind of feel like it's getting set up for something like that. We're going to probably wait until we integrate the ARWay solution because that'll be a big driver of that business and the growth there. But we brought in the new CEO primarily because you need an industry executive to grow that business. I'm not from the events industry, and so Malia is, and that's why we needed to hire somebody outside of NexTech as a CEO. And it does set the stage, if you think it through, for a spinout that'll have an experienced CEO from industry that can really drive that revenue, maybe from $1 million to 20, 30, 50 million, maybe even 100 million. I mean, if you look at some of the bigger players out there like Cvent, they have multi-billion-dollar market caps. There's nothing Cvent has in terms of technology that MapD doesn't have. So we're actually at an enterprise level of tech. The thing we're missing is that leader. Malia is that leader.
Okay, Jeff's asking, what are you getting per model? Okay, I think you've talked about how much Amazon.
Yeah, we actually haven't disclosed how much we're charging per model. Obviously, it's high volume, so it's not the full margin on that, but the volume kind of makes up for it. So.
Okay, so a good question. So investors, now there's more of a focus on profitability versus big revenue growth. So when could NexTech become profitable? When is that going to happen?
I mean, the goal is to be cash flow positive. I think about that every day. I can't put a time on when we're going to be profitable. At this point, I'm trying to grow revenue and land these deals. Like, we're still in startup mode. in a lot of ways. So profitability is not the number one focus today. Today, it's revenue.
I think I would say also, it's interesting. Evidently, I think also in the reality is, again, we use that kind of that joke from that Silicon Valley show, the revenues prop, that line. But yeah, I mean, in reality, when you look at stocks, when they have their biggest moves, that massive 10x, those moves happen before profitability.
Yeah.
Once a company becomes profitable, it's almost like then now you're kind of trapped. You're trapped by that metric.
Yeah.
Are you 10x earnings, 20x,
Yeah,
if you're not profitable, you have much more upside on the stock. I mean, as perverse as that sounds. Okay. Question. I have sure. Okay, so he's got. Will I receive the ARWay? Oh, when is he? Oh. Okay. So this is an American guy. When does he get his shares?
So Will. So I believe, and I'm going to double check on this, that you will get the Canadian dividend. So you'll get the shares that trade on the CSE. As soon as we start trading on the CSE, there'll be a deposit in your Charles Schwab account of the Canadian listed security. And then once it starts trading in the US, I believe you can just call Charles Schwab and tell them you want to convert it to the US stock. Or you could just trade it in Canada, although I don't know if Schwab does that.
Okay, so ARWay, this is a very good question. What's the business model? Like, how's the pricing? How's the whole thing work?
So again, the base price is $1,500 to $2,500 per month for the platform. So that's 18,000, right? Is that 1,500? Yeah, 18,000 per year, on up to $30,000 per year, and that's for a base. That's a limited number of maps. If you have 100 maps, it's going to cost more. If you have like a million square feet, it's going to cost more. If you have multi maps, it's going to cost more. If you want any of the augmented reality experiences, it's going to cost more. And there's a lot of we have one quote that's out for $600,000 on AR for ARWay, right? That's a massive
$600,000 quote for ARWay.
Yeah.
For what kind of use is that?
It's massive. It's massive. It's enterprise.
Was it the Pentagon or something? I mean, 10 million square feet.
Yeah, it's a moonshot.
Okay.
It's the moonshot quote. So, look, these things are not done deals. I just want to be crystal clear. These are just quotes. This is not like they've signed a $600,000 contract, but we are looking at bigger deals. It's not just 18,000 to 30,000. There are deals.
If you can get the more all of a sudden people have mentioned it here in the chat, but a use case, a great use case, it would be if Disney or Universal, they got this, because this thing is, especially kids like this. They like this phone thing, right? And basically, it's a way for Disney to sell stuff. So here's the park, here's the hidden things, here's where the souvenirs are, here is the cotton candy, whatever, and the kids will be the ones that drive the adoption. And that sucks.
So what's 1,000 times 18,000?
18 million.
Yes. So if we have 1,000 customers at the lowest price point, it's 18 million. That's 1,000 customers. It's not a big number in the scheme of things, considering most of this is going to be self-serve. In the beginning, it's going to be a managed service. But if you think about it, we're already working with, I don't know, 20, 30 customers without marketing, right? So to get to 1,000, it's not going to be very hard.
I would think probably a lot of these are going to be much bigger because like the people who really need this are the ones that have massive facilities, like, you know, like a Disney or these bigger places that have big, you know, giant spaces.
You know, believe it or not, museums, hospitals, stadiums, airports, you know, universities. In fact, we're doing a pilot right now with Ryerson University, again, you know, one of our longtime supportive customers. We're actually creating a wayfinding experience inside of one of their buildings as a pilot test. But if you think of university campuses and you think of, you know, kids on campus, I would have loved to have a wayfinding to find my class. You know, there's 1 million classrooms in a building, and I always got lost. I mean, it's almost like a rite of passage. You go to college, you get lost, you know. That would be much better, though, if that didn't actually happen. I was just traveling in Europe over the summer, and if you go to the train stations there, everything's by train. It's very confusing. And you go up to some guy who doesn't speak English, and you're trying to, you know, figure out where your platform is. I mean, it's nerve-wracking. All of that can be eliminated using the ARWay wayfinding solution. So there's lots and lots of use cases, Jack. It's, you know, every train station, every bus station, every airport, museum, on and on. So if you think about 1,000 customers, back to that again, it's really a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, no, things are set up. Let me see if we have any more questions here. No, that's it. Okay, Evan, I think we got in just in time. We're in that under the.
We made it
before 2 o'clock. Okay, all right. So big news is what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. What's in the news pipeline? What do we have coming up right now? We're gonna
be demoing Toggle 3D, which is a really big deal for our ARtized 3D platform. We're going to be demoing ARWay and showing the new capabilities, and we're also going to be talking a bit about Map Dynamics. So it's going to be quite interesting. So the mini metaverse has turned into the big metaverse. That's all. Yeah, the mini metaverse. It's now the big metaverse.
You know, I think. Look, the reason I bring this thing up is, you know, right now, you know, we're talking about, again. I think, you know, we all know that the big money with stock. Again, I'm thinking purely as an investor. You know, the way to make money with a stock is you get into something which is part of a major trend right at the beginning, and you ride that trend. And look, we keep hearing about Metaverse, Web3, AR, all the stuff. You know, Meta, Apple, all these guys, they're going all in. And next year, I think, is that breakout year because it's been building. But I think when Apple glasses come in, that's going to be the big breakout. And, you know, the market's going to, you know, there is no, like, I don't think there is no publicly traded pure play in this whole Metaverse, AR, Web3 space. There really isn't. I mean, like, Meta is not really a web. I mean, it's more a social media company, whereas NexTech really is that, you know, providing the picks and shovels for the metaverse, really.
Yeah, and we're creating an ecosystem.
And the market's going to value that at some point.
I think it's the valuation has the potential to really be, you know, explosive, because all these different businesses are converging and really creating one very, very powerful solution where it's wayfinding, 3D model. I mean, we have one retailer, we'll just leave it at this, in Canada. What's it called? Something Hudson. I forget, Hudson Bay or something. Yeah, Hudson Bay. So they're interested not just in 3D models, but they're interested in the wayfinding. So we're seeing now this crossover where we could be, like, right now we're supplying Kohl's with 3D models. In 2023, it could be 3D models plus the wayfinding solution. So again, it's this synergy because they work together really, really well. And so,
I mean, this could really save retail. You're talking about Hudson Bay, all these big department stores. whatever it is. These are huge spaces. Like, and when you walk in, like, where is whatever, and this is pure monetization, because it says here's where whatever, I don't know, clothing is, men's, women's, children's, this, that. Here you want summer, whatever it is. This is where it is, and and brands pop up ads. There's a lot of things that these guys could do, and there's also like instant coupons. There's also crazy stuff. I mean, really, you're opening up a whole new. I mean, really, this metaverse thing. You're really opening up a whole new universe of monetization. It's almost like Google, but for the physical world. That's where NexTech is going.
And you know what the magic is that we're doing it in a novel and unique way, where all you need is your phone, which you already have, and a QR code. That's it. There's nothing else that you're going to need to activate this metaverse experience. You don't need to go out and buy a $2,000 pair of glasses or goggles or whatever. Nope. Your existing phone and the QR code, which has become ubiquitous. Your QR codes are everywhere. Anybody, you go out, you scan a menu, at an airport with your phone. It's a QR code activation. So super exciting times, Jack. I guess we'll see you next week.
Perfect, Evan. Thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you all on the next moon live stream. Have a great weekend.